Welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending July 19th, 2015. My name is Eric Stromquist, and I am joined, as usual, by my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Kenny Smyers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Eric. I love the way you tease that out, man.
Well, man,
get me all pumped up in the very first minute of the show. Yeah, let's get this. I understand,
man. You're a Steelers fan. You know, you respond to that, man. And not only that, your public demands it. If I was ever not to do the Kenny Smyers introduction, I think we would have a revolt, Kenny Smyers. I think we would for sure. So, what's cooking up in Pittsburgh, big dog?
Oh, gorgeous weather, Eric. All the complaining I do about the weather in Pittsburgh, I have to be nice. This week has been beautiful. Today it's about 85 degrees, low humidity, big sun. It's nice up here. What about Atlanta?
I hear you, big dog. Well, it's very hot and humid down here in Atlanta. I just got back from cooking pancakes for Evelyn Grace. Babyface, my 2.5-year-old daughter, so that's all done. But hey, we got a really big show today. We're doing something a little bit different. Most of our listeners know that I sort of redone our basement and created a studio down here. And Kenny, I tell you what, man, what better way to bring it in than to have our first in-studio guest, Mr. Rob Young Gun, 7 Minutes and Controls Allen. Rob, welcome to the studio and welcome to the show, Young Gun.
What's going on, man? I couldn't be happy to be here. You know, I appreciate you guys calling me up out of AAA for a short stint in the big leagues. Hope I don't fail. And this is a one-time only thing. This is just about the coolest thing. The studio is awesome. We got Mr. Smyers coming in via live feed, and it's neat. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, I tell you what, Rob, the one thing
welcome to the show, Rob.
Yeah, this is not a one-shot deal, big dog. We're going to have you in. And Fred Gordy, I know, is going to be watching. Fred's in Atlanta, too, so he's going to be coming in to do a couple of live broadcasts from us. So, Rob, we hope if you pass the audition, and you'll have to let us know in comments if Young Gun Rob Allen passes the audition, you'll get to come back, man.
And then maybe next time you can make me some pancakes.
Hey, anytime, baby, anytime. That's going to be part of the ritual, man. You come here, I'll make you pancakes. And you get to be on the show. So Rob, for our listeners out there who might not know, tell me about you, your background, and sort of what you do.
So about 5 years ago, I came begging for a job, and you asked me what my qualifications were, and I said I didn't have any. And you said, "What do you know about the industry?" And I said nothing. And 5 years later, here we are. No, I'm just kidding. It was really neat. Got to sit down with you and Brother David and go through the interview process and an interview with Eric Stromquist is just what you would think it was or would be. I was asked to sell a bottle of water. I didn't have any idea that was coming, so I think I passed that test. And then the next thing I knew, I was selling a Jace and everything else to him right there in the interview. Really cool. And so kind of came in and saw Control Trends evolve firsthand. When I came on board, it was just kind of this little thing that Eric had a pet project and he was doing, and I think a lot of folks thought that it was going to fail and not do a whole lot. And then Ken Smyers came on right after that, and then the next thing we know, we got a set of vendors wanting to know if Eric's in the building so they could run the other way and not be on camera. We had folks coming and saying, "How do I get an interview with Eric and Ken?" And so it's really neat. Hats off to you guys. You did it, and a lot of early adversity. A lot of folks were, like I just said, thinking it wasn't going to work out, and you guys just had the dream. And what are we doing? The fourth CTAs this year, or is that what it is? The fourth.
The fourth, yes.
Yeah, it's the fourth one, Rob. Well, I tell you what.
Eric, if I may say something right after Rob, I tell you, to me, it's so true. He did a great summary. Rob, you did a great summary because we were just at the crest of social media, and our industry didn't. It was like it was like hazardous waste. Nobody wanted to really touch it, and now we've seen that phase go long downriver, and we've got people now embracing social media and the whole concept. I think that like you said, the Control Trends, Eric was a leading force in using the potency of social media, whether it's the search engine optimization on Google to the interviews that we're conducting almost on a weekly basis with some of the leading experts in our industry.
No, it really has. Well, my motto, a lot of people look at me and say, he's often wrong but never in doubt. But I think, and I told this at the Control Trends Awards when we inducted Rob into the first class of Young Guns, I interviewed Rob, and I think I told him, I said, man, you're not going to make it in this industry. You should go do something else. But I'll never forget what he said. You know, he looked at me and said, you can keep your damn bottle of water, but let me just tell you something. If you give me a chance a year from now, I'll make you eat those words. And boy, have I ever eaten my words. And boy, we feel really, really fortunate to have Rob. And you talk about a guy, Kenny, you know, that sort of epitomizes this. And for our listeners who might not know, the Young Guns is a concept that Kenny and I came up with, sort of out of Ken Sinclair. Kenny, I want you to speak about this in a minute, but, you know, Ken Sinclair, you know, one of the guys that really shines a beacon on what the industry needs to be focusing on. Ken pointed out to us that to survive, we really need to attract younger people into the industry. And Kenny, speak a bit more about that, if you would, about, you know, Ken Sinclair and what the concept of the Young Guns and why we came up with it.
Well, sure. Ken spearheaded at the AHR, we had the collaboration, and part of the collaboration in the group there was how do we get young people invested in our industry? Who are we passing our knowledge on to? Everybody's got silver hair in the room, and how there were methods there that if everybody pulled their resources and everybody got, you know, shooting at the same target, we'd be able to do something. Number one, use the IoT, some of the more sexy versions of technology applied to the building envelope and building automation, facility management and maintenance. And you know, that was about 2 years ago. And then the Young Guns came up because we tried to promote you know, as wide area as possible of neighboring industries where people that were under 30 years old were already making you know, a serious contribution in our world, our HVAC and building management and building automation world. And you know, Ken came up with one idea after another, autodidactic, where you basically put stuff on videos or you put stuff into resource libraries, and people teach themselves on that particular chore for the day. So if they got to learn something about a chiller plant, they can go there and they can read and listen to or watch a video on 2 or 3 experts that know specifically about chiller plants, and the person pretty well teaches themselves what they need to know. And just to parlay on it, I got in the mail yesterday from George Mason University, the Office of Continuing Education, facility management. They've added facility management to their curriculum. And I think, I'd like to believe that we have something to do with all that, Eric. That, you know, we are taking that banner and we're charging up every hill we can to promote it. And I think Rob, he epitomizes it because exactly that. Many people come into our industry, it's like serendipity. They didn't come in specifically they didn't come in as an expert in building management or automation, but the possibility and the allure was there. It's a great way to make a living. You're networking with very, very interesting people that are passionate about their jobs. And once you get good at it, then you wonder why did it take it so long to get that far, and how can we promote that for the next generation?
Oh, absolutely. And so Kenny and I added the Young Guns to the Control Trends Awards, which we will continue this year. We'll have our second class of Young Guns. But Rob, you were in the inaugural class of Young Guns, and you know, part of the Control Trends Awards, as Kenny and I have said ad nauseum, is that we think we got the greatest people in the world in our industry, and they usually don't get acknowledged the way they should. They're lucky if they get a gold watch when they retire, and people are telling me now you don't even get a gold watch when you retire. So we want to honor everybody in our industry, but thrilled with the Young Gun class. We had a great first class, included Rob, Jason Houck, and several others. So Rob, I mean, from your perspective, sort of as a young guy in the industry, first of all, what is it about the industry that attracts you, and then what was it like to be a Young Gun?
Well, first and foremost, the Young Gun, I mean, to be a part of the inaugural class, that was just about as good as it gets. You know, I see a lot of folks reaching out, you know, seeing my name out there in Control Trends and various different things. And so it's helped to leverage a lot of stuff for us in good ways. And to Kenny's point earlier, to me, it's kind of neat because we're starting to see a really good bridge where folks like myself, young guns like myself, the technology is neat and cutting edge enough to where that keeps us interested. But then a lot of the things that we don't know from experience and things like that, we can look up to you guys to mentor us on, you know, don't do it this way, do it this way. You know, how do I get my message across? And so it's really neat because you're seeing, you know, 2 different generations, you know, come together and you can really kind of bounce off of each other. There's some things that we can teach you guys and there's some things that you can teach us. And I think that, you know, it makes for a whole lot better harmony, you know, among everybody.
Agreed. And Kenny, Rob and I got to meet Anonymous J together, and we're still hoping we can get her on. I mean, and Rob, is she a fireball or what? Is she gonna put light a fire underneath the industry? I mean, it's articulate, bright, passionate, but like a lot of young people, she'll come to us on her terms, and that's understood and appreciated. But what was your take on Anonymous J?
Well, I'll be honest. I was a little nervous at first because I had Eric and Anonymous J at lunch going back and forth, and I just was kind of sitting there, and I could see this thunderstorm brewing off the edge of the skyline there, and then next thing I know, Eric's talking her into on camera, and then boom, it's like something clicked, and she just takes off and starts going, and she just off the cusp starts saying the things that I've been thinking for a really long time, had the guts to say them on camera. When this evolves and when this gets out there, and we feel that we got the best medium for her to make the comments and things that she needs to do, this is going to be awesome. And, hats off to you, because like I said, I was going, oh my gosh, this is not going to turn out good. And I was blown away with the initial cut that we did.
Oh, the initial cut is awesome. And in fairness to her, I mean, she really, sort of went out there and I think she even prefaced it by saying that, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. And I think that our industry is going to really, really appreciate that honesty. I could see a day, Rob, where companies hire her and she's in a dark room, anonymous, and they're asking her questions just to try to get a handle on, what motivates the younger people that are coming into the industry. So Anonymous J, I know you're listening. Hey, we're ready when you are. You got a lot to say, and I think she's going to be spectacular if we get her on.
Anonymous J's that chick that you can walk over and say, hey, I think that you should say this, and I think you should say that, and then you just sit back and she goes and articulates it perfectly and gets to the right person and all that good stuff.
Well, Anonymous, I actually did try that, Rob. She looked at me, she said, don't tell me what to say. I know what to say. So, and she does.
Sounds
she
about
does.
Right.
So, Kenny, sort of, a good segue. You and I got a little trip planned this week, and we're not going to give away the location, but tell our listeners a little bit about what we got going on, where we'll be Thursday, and the exciting news we got happening there.
Love to, Eric. Well, as Rob mentioned, we are now preparing we're starting the groundwork for the 2015 ControlTalk Awards. It will be held in conjunction with the AHR show, January 24th, that Sunday, from looks like 5:30 to 8:30 or 6:30 to 9:30. We're going to nail down all those important aspects of the show, the granular stuff. But we're going down to do a walkthrough survey and meet the people. It's a tremendous venue. Very well recognized. It's going to be a very suitable venue for the show that we're putting on. So we want to highlight the superstars and the great products and people and product platforms and the vendors in a very favorable Hollywoodish type of environment. And this will certainly is very conducive to that, while still getting everybody in a very comfortable environment. It's going to be a great great entertaining evening, and we're really excited. And hopefully we'll nail that down this Thursday, and then release the actual location and more specifically the time and whatever, so people can begin the preparation. Even though it's July, I mean, time's just shooting by so quick. So, yep, this Thursday is going to be a big day for Control Trends. It
really is, Kenny. And we're going to, like I said, Orlando. The venue, we're not going to say what it is yet because we really want to nail it down, but it's going to be Sunday night, as we've said before. So it's going to give us more time. The thought process being there, most people get in on Sunday anyway. They usually go to a factory meeting. You're going to have a place to go Sunday night that is going to rock and roll. It's going to be a combination of New York and Chicago, as we've said before. Chicago, we were sort of hamstrung. We had a limited amount of time to work with, so we didn't get as much entertainment as we wanted to have, but now we're going to have the additional awards, the young guns, and a bunch of entertainment. So with that, Kenny, I mean, the great news, I want to thank all of our Control Trend sponsors, especially our Platinums who have committed early. I want to say a special thank you to Larry Weber and Troy Rickard from Honeywell. They committed as a Platinum sponsor this week. So the Big Red H is on. And you know what? When the Big Red H is on, the bus just gets going. So Kenny and I appreciate our Platinum sponsors. Our promise to you is we're going to take that sponsorship money and we're going to create an event to remember. So, Kenny, let's get to some business, man. You've been letting me prattle on here about all kinds of stuff. I mean, what's up first, big dog?
Well, we went back to the post. The first post up we have from Stacy from McCammon from Stromquist. And I think our theme is kind of edging in towards a security, access control, and the integration world. And most critical components is your interface to arm and disarm your system. So this particular post is toss the key with biometric access. And Stromquist is pleased to be a distributor for ZKAccess, manufacturers of security access equipment. ZKAccess is one of the largest providers in the world. They've earned a reputation for their technical innovation, quality, speed to market, reliability. But for us that are just really truly grappling with the enormous potential that our guest, one of the guest presenters here in the interview from 7 Minutes of Control with Rob, is how important this integration thing is going and the savings it represents. And I won't steal the thunder out of that post, but there's 5 very important reasons why this biometric access device that you are now selling is critical, because it's biometric. It takes it up a level. So everybody's talking about layers of security. Security is good, but the more layers you have, the better chances you have to defeat a fraudulent attempt at your facility. So this includes the fingerprint. It does the scan. It just has everything. And I'll tell you, it's so you could do the I think the retinal scan and the fingerprint, which are probably the most, they're the standard reinforcement. You have the PIN, and then of course you have a swipe. So it's it's security in depth. Great product.
Well, it is a great product, Kenny. And I tell you what, we have them hooked up at our office, working with our Honeywell Jace, and ZK is all over the world. They have a big distribution center in New Jersey, but they're all over the world. The biometrics is kind of cool, but I tell you what, man, I've scanned my face I don't know how many times, and it still won't let me in, so I don't know what's up with that. But hey, Rob, you got a feel for this, man. Talk a bit about that, if you would.
Well, I have no comment on why the face part won't work for you, but I might have an idea or two. No, this is neat, and it does a couple things for you. So, like Ken said, the facial and the thumbprint or whatever print you want, to be honest with you, people want to talk about it. And I think that's one of the cool things is that they walk by our office, they see that we've got that access control, and we walk up and just show our face. And so it kind of brings a little bit of pub to the whole thing. But then the fact that it actually works and serves a purpose as well, that's huge. And I know that, the trends now, security integration, things like that are what the end user is asking for, the building managers, property managers, that type of stuff. And I see a sort of a lag behind, at least in our market, from the contractors being willing to offer that. And I think that this is one of those things. You get some cool technology, something that people just think that, man, that thing must cost, $5,000, and it's not even a fraction of that. And it gets some interest and gets some contractor buy-in, which I think is one of the things that we've got to get better at our industry, is instead of having the customers lead us into what the technology is next, have our contractors and distributors lead and throw out that technology.
I think well said, Rob. Kenny and I talk a lot about, or have been talking a lot about here recently, that it's the real differentiator is your ability to communicate the value. And I think, for kind of using a 4-letter word here, maybe it's 5, that's it, sales, is sort of paramount. And Kenny, you remember that Paul Oswalt, well, actually you weren't at Realcomm IPCON, Rob was with me this time, but remember Paul Oswalt was talking about how important it was to be able to communicate the message and really listen and understand. So I think we're going to see more and more of that. As a matter of fact, if our friend Mark Jewell is listening out there, Mark teaches specifically how to sell energy and energy solutions, and I'll give you a hint. It's not about the energy savings. That's the icing on the cake. And Rob, you attended one of his classes. Good stuff, right?
Oh, that's the EEO class. Is what I attended, and it's a 3-day session. Mark goes for the first day. It is 8 hours of Mark spraying you down with a fire hose, and you feverishly taking as many notes as you possibly can. And I left going and just knowing that this was the neatest thing in the world, and this guy really knows a whole lot of stuff. And then the 2 days after that is the Honeywell part of it, where they're showing you how to use their tool set that they made and all that kind of good stuff. I highly recommend that anybody that's a Honeywell contractor go attend that. There's actually a remote session. You don't have to go to Minneapolis and brave the 2 feet of snow. So December in Orlando is the next EEO, and it's a remote session. Mark will be there. If just Mark alone is worth it. And then the cherry on top is the tool set. And those guys have done a really good job. A lot of things that we've heard is that you get your initial training on something, and then that's it. And you go a year, 18 months, 2 years, there's no follow-up. If there's any improvements, you don't get additional training. The EEO guys have been great about sending out a monthly digest about here's what's new, here's what we've added, start doing this, and oh, hey, by the way, this is something different than Mark's teaching these days. I think we even got a free copy of his book, all kinds of neat stuff. So they got it figured out. The EEO is really good.
Well, they do, Rob. And then there was that Noesis, which is, a company that actually does financing of these type projects. And I think they're part of the EEO too. And they'll actually, Kenny, help you with figuring the energy savings out, but then they provide the capital. So if you can't get it from a bank, you can get it for them. Obviously, you're going to pay a little bit more money if you do that, but I think it's well worth it. So there's no excuses not to make the buildings sustainable, because you can learn from Mark Jewell how to present it in a way, and you can help get the financing too.
And the additional thing too that was intriguing about the Noesis stuff is that you get the third party in there backing up what you're saying, and being a true third party. If it doesn't make sense, they're not going to back you up, but you go through with a consistent message from all parties, and they're going to your customer on your behalf and saying as well, hey, this is what makes sense, and this is why we need to do it. And so sometimes even, with the best relationship, you're still a sales guy, and people are a little bit kind of caught off guard by sales tactics and things like that, even if you don't use those. And so having that third party can really help you out as well too.
Awesome. Kenny Smyers, what do we have up next, big dog?
Next up, Eric, we have Siemens now offering BAS sensors through CGNA distributors. And this is a continuation. This was actually filmed at the CGNA meeting, the conference meeting down there in Savannah, Georgia. And you're going to tell us all about it, but I can already say that it's made an impact, that this is exciting news. And the reason why is that I think we're seeing the gentler side or the softer side of Siemens, where we used to just have access to the commercial components, the valves, actuators, the VFDs. The BT300 is a great VFD, and they can compete with anybody with their actuators and their PC valve, the PIC-V valve. But this is different. Why don't you tell us a little bit why this is so unique and important for distributors and CGNA and for users throughout the North America?
Well, I tell you what, Paul Gilvydis was the gentleman I got to interview, and a great guy. And Kenny, you really hit the nail on the head. Siemens, and a lot of people don't realize that Siemens is one of the largest control manufacturers in the world, one of the largest corporations in the world. And,
18th most recognized brand in the world.
18th? Right behind us, right?
Control Trends, then Siemens. Yep.
There you go. But, I mean, virtually, you walk in a lot of buildings and you see the Siemens, the Apogee system, the sensors. I mean, they're so recognizable. Siemens has been very prolific in getting their DDC products into the marketplace. And Siemens has been reluctant to turn a lot of those products. It's just like, Johnson, it took them a while to get it, and Honeywell. And now Siemens is starting to release more and more products. So the sensor that they released, the sensor series, I mean, you look at the video, you'll see it. You see these everywhere. And if you're a user or a contractor, up till now, the only option you had to buy those replacement sensors was to buy them through the brand. So now you can get those through distribution, and specifically CGNA distributors. And why do I say Controls Group North America distributors? Because we're members of the group. Kenny and I both are, and it's a group of like-minded distributors. We push each other to be better. You'll be able to get help with those guys as some of the best of the best. And so you can go to the website. We have a link, cgnacontrols.net. Find the CGNA distributor near you and tell them you want to start replacing some of those Siemens sensors.
Right, Eric, and just there's kind of a piggyback on what you said earlier. The 0 to 1 book that we read and we're proponents of, and it talked about this telling a story. I think when you do this video with this gentleman from Siemens, and you see the story there, it's so important in the sales presentation that you have that legitimacy. Siemens was very concerned about their brand and wanted to make sure that everybody was ready for it. They didn't want to take any false starts or whatever. So now that they're pretty much, they understand the maturity of the distributors and the contractors, and they feel more willing to share more of their components because we understand how things work a lot better. I think we proved it, but then you still have to sell it. So CGNA is a great way to do it, and you guys are stocking them. And I mean, the whole Siemens now in your inventory is probably going to grow from the RDY 2000 thermostats, the commercial thermostats, now with the sensors, so that these things are readily available. I mean, service call today, stop by a distributor that has Siemens, and you're on your way. So
you sure are. And our buddy Joshua Felburn has been promoted, so he's actually the CGNA liaison with Siemens now. And congratulations to Josh. He's worked with us as our local rep. And Rob, I tell you what, he's one of the really good ones, isn't he?
Why'd you do that to me, Josh? What's going on, man? AKA Ace. He hit his first hole in one about 2-3 months ago. He's quite the golfer.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And also, Eric, Siemens committed. They're also a
Platinum sponsor.
Platinum sponsor.
And
So thanks,
they
Josh.
won Siemens won Variable Frequency Drive of the Year last year with their Siemens drive. Kenny, you've sold quite a few of those.
Sure have.
Really, really good drive. And I think it's no secret that I think it's Vacon makes the base for several of the manufacturers' VFDs. And the reason the manufacturers just OEM those is because they're so damn good, right? So I think what makes them different is the interfaces that they put on them and the bypass setups they put on them. And Siemens
that was the old world. I think the new Siemens BT300s are made in America now. They're made, I think, in Pennsylvania. So that was the old Honeywell, Johnson, Eaton. There's probably 5 of the manufacturers were using the Vacon base VFD, and Vacon, of course, came from A, B, and B. So it's a small world, and it's very circuitous.
Help us out, Rob.
Yes.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Because if so VFDs seem to be pretty much everybody's got a great VFD, but what they've done now is there's a new PowerPoint came out in June with the BT300, and they put some IOs now in the VFD. So now you've got multi-dimensional, controlling and saving energy and doing soft starts and making sure everything you're maximizing your energy savings and efficiencies, and you can save a great deal of money with VFDs. But you can now have some remote IOs and capability, and it's on the network. And most incredibly is if you have an issue or whatever, you can remotely assess that VFD from Siemens technical support can come on through the networks and get down to the VFD and say what's going on here. And they can do some diagnostics in the event you have one of those rare cases that you can't solve it locally. So they've got some really neat stuff.
Well, they do. And did we mention that CGNA is a platinum sponsor at the Control Trends Awards? Thank you, Siemens.
Siemens, right.
So listen, Rob, you went to your first CGNA awards last year. It was your first one, right? You thought we were nuts, right, up until that point in time. Take a quick second. Tell us, what was your experience? What do you think?
So, the CTA Awards, I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I was sipping the Kool-Aid, before I went. And then I took the proverbial Gatorade bath after it was all said and done. Just dumped it all over me and soaked it all up. I couldn't believe the emotion from the nominees. I was looking out into the room, and I kind of had a good perspective because I was in the very front taking the pictures, but got to see everybody's faces. And you'd see some general nervousness from folks that were nominated and finding out if they were going to win or lose. And you would see the, just like any award show, the folks that didn't win this go around would do the smirk and the clap. But you could tell that they were envious of the folks that got to walk up on stage. And I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that emotion. One of the ones that really kind of got me was when Laura Kevitt, very deserving of the award that she won, and seeing how, emotional she got. And, a couple other folks got up on stage and, were fighting back tears. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, Eric and Ken, put all this together and made this happen. And, I was honestly just so thrilled to be a part of it. And, awesome. I mean, I can't wait. Maybe I should ask on air, are you going to let me go back this year to the force so we can make this happen again?
We'll let you go back, Rob, but you're a year older now. A young gun is not a possibility for you.
Well, I'll be there in any capacity that you allow. And
yeah, we need you, Rob. We need you.
And Anonymous Jay, if you're listening, if you want to become a young gun, we will make sure that you're in the shadows, right, so that nobody can know who you are, because part of your allure is that you are anonymous, Jay.
Well, it's always nice to hear good compliments, Rob. I for one, appreciate that, because there is a great deal of, behind the scenes work, heavy lifting going on and plans. But most importantly, I think it was that Eric and I, began this whole thing with truly recognizing some of the awesome people in our industry. I knew that, I watched guys work 40, 50 years in this industry, and when they left, nobody knew it. We didn't even get an email back then because there was no emails. And we talk about that gold watch. Well, there were people that gave you different things and said goodbye, and literally the door closed and it was like a vacuum was filled, and it was nothing, no echoes, no remembrances. And I think that's bad for our industry. I think that what we have to do is clarify to people that are active in their industry that their kids know that their mom and their dad, like Laura Kevitt's family, they know that she is a vital aspect in a lot of other businesses. She makes an impact in hundreds of buildings, thousands of buildings across the country in North America. And even though it's a very modest position, whatever, she makes a big impact. And so do all the other people. And there were no losers, because in that particular category, every single person was an enormous presence in their own world and does the same thing. So whether it's a product or whether it's a product manager or whether it's an individual award or a vendor award for customer support, everybody that was nominated was a winner in my eyes, because just to get there, there's probably 10, 15 people for every
yeah, there really are. Yeah,
but the 5 or 6 that make it, that's already a victory. And I think we as Control Trends, we have to continuously shine that light that these people are this year's winners. Well,
I'll tell you what, Kenny, it is, and I think that what really got me was I've had a couple of people that after they won an award, they came and they thanked me and they said, my wife and kids had no idea what I did. They saw me get this award. Now they think I'm a rock star. And I think it really is. I mean, when we set out to do this, Kenny, it was we wanted to set one day that we all set down our swords. We came and we celebrated each other in our industry. And so you look at people like Una DeBoer and Delta Controls. I mean, they're a direct channel. You and I don't handle them. And yet, she's reached out. She's a platinum sponsor for the second year in a row. So it's the fact that we come together and celebrate as an industry is a huge piece, I think. And
it's a self-serving, self-feeding. The more you contribute, the more you're involved, the more you're promoting your own best interests. In other words, we are providing a forum now. We have everybody's attention. So bring your products, bring your vendor support, bring everything you're proud of now, and present it to the Control Trends community at large. And you're exposing yourself to thousands and thousands of people around the world. And so if you have an important product and it's a global product, there's no reason in the world why you can't take advantage of this. This is a parlance, where you're going to take this opportunity to really truly celebrate your own achievements or your own product features and benefits, and then you're going to involve yourself in a competitive arena where you can't lose, because everybody is pushing the markets out bigger. We're going through a competition phase, doggone it, and where the markets get bigger, because we cannot get into the areas we need to get into. Mark Marston said something that I'll never forget about the pyramid. By coming in, you want to come in high, but you want to go deep and wide, because that's where the big markets are. 80% of our markets are untapped. 80% of our products haven't got into the buildings they need to get to. We need more exposure. We need more people selling. We need more people doing it, because ultimately it's a great profession, but we're ultimately saving, we're reducing carbon footprints. We're saving energy. We're making the ADR, the automated demand response, a reality, the smart grid, a reality, one building at a time through our individual efforts. So you take CGNA, you got 43 distributors that are well-versed, well-known, and that's just a fraction of the area. So there's just plenty more markets. So I think that the final thing on that was just, I wanted to make sure everybody understood that participation rewards with more exposure and better opportunities, better brand recognition.
Right. Well, Kenny, and I think the other thing too is you and I talk about a lot and are actually starting to exhibit. I mean, the world is shrinking, and we've got people from all over the world that are fans of Control Trends and check in with Control Trends. We appreciate all those folks. Richard McElhenney from Australia was on last week. We got our friend Rebennack from India is going to be coming on, and our friend Mike Marston, he's out and about, isn't he? What's he doing now? Is he getting a tan someplace, Kenny?
Well, you know what? I'm glad you said that, because I got an email from him yesterday, and I hope this shows up.
Bring it a little bit to bring it over a little bit. There you go. Okay, take it up. There you go, right
he's skiing in Australia.
Wow.
So he's all over the place, but he was actually responding back to an inquiry I had regarding some serious questions regarding the EasyIO products. So no matter where he is, he's accessible. He got back to me within like 4 hours. The guy doesn't sleep. I don't know how he does it, but he is passionate about his product, and there's no place on earth where he's not available to support.
Well, now he was supposed to get with Richard McElhenney. Mike, if you're listening, we are expecting a Control Pub Talk from down under from you. So don't be messing around with that. We want it. All right, Kenny, what do we have up next, big dog?
All right, Eric, the next up is an Energygov Post. I hope people don't get bored with these, because they're not going to go away. And what this is a very special one. Last week we had one where they were supporting universities that had in-house programs to support college students learning more about building efficiencies. This one is actually to the Building Technologies Office is calling all innovators. Apply to share your early-stage technologies at the Energy Connections Emerging Technology Pavilion. That is in Arizona. There's a date, and we have a link for it to sign up. But basically, they were given opportunities to feature people that have knowledge and technologies that were being sought, which were solid-state lighting, HVAC, including water heating and appliances, sensors and controls, windows and envelope, and modeling tools. And basically, they're going to feature these people to have a competition. So you had to submit your application. It was due. That date has come and gone, but now you can still sign up to go to the Energy Exchange, which is August 11th through the 13th in Phoenix, Arizona at the Phoenix Convention Center. So I really appreciate the fact that we're getting some top-down leadership and direction from the Energy Department of Energy on focusing on our industry. We can't help but benefit from that attention.
I agree, Kenny. Agree. And I hope this carries over to the next administration because it has been a real boon for our industry, and I think it's important. So you think it will? I mean, or you think that is – I'm not a political animal, so I don't keep up with it. Rob, maybe you do. We got a nomination and an election coming up sometime, right? How many years out?
Next year.
Next year. Okay, so next year. But I mean, is that being debated at all or talked about?
No, I think the American Recovery, the ARRA threw so much money out into our into the grid, into the reconstruction and the rebuilding of the infrastructures. And in our area, that turned into a bunch of bridges and roads, which are very important. So, there was a great benefit. In some other areas of the country where energy was a primary issue, like Southern California, Texas, New England, up in that area, New York, where they really have these major metropolitan areas and a brownout is critical and millions of people are vulnerable to a brownout. They had to do stuff to make the grid, that smart grid a reality. They did, hence the Nest thermostats, the Honeywell Home Pros, all those manufacturers and vendors that paid attention to that, got on board that bus. That bus was left town a while ago, and now it's still running up the mileage. It's finally coming down to our level where we now are selling energy meters. Everything has to be smart so that it can contribute that smart intelligence and that the usage information onto the grid so the people that generate and distribute power know how to do it best, most efficiently.
Well, I tell you what.
The next, I believe that the next, whoever wins is not going to be able to stop that train, is what I was trying to say. There's so much momentum. Yeah. There's such an infrastructure being built and the inertia and all the critical mass of movement. It's not stoppable. It's just going to get, it's actually unfolded, and I think it's going to be successful.
Well, I think so, Kenny. And I, for one, really appreciate the fact that you're tracking what the government's doing, because I tell you what, that is, if you really pay attention to those posts that Kenny's putting up, I mean, that's a great place to go prospect, right, Kenny?
For some people, you have to. It's the economies of scales, and some, like manufacturers are all over it. And to me, I think that's where Nest made their, strategically they got on board that. They sent their best people to the lobby zones in Washington and helped the whole thing promote it. And then when the time came, they provided that smart thermostat. And so did Honeywell, and so did 4 or 5 other major manufacturers, Ecobee, all of our manufacturers that were listed in the thermostat of the year had a thermostat that could contribute to the smart grid and the open ADR and then the smart meters. Going
to be very interesting to see how that competition shapes out. Thermostat of the year for the next upcoming Control Trends Awards. Hey, Kenny, while we're sort of on the topic, you mentioned Honeywell a couple of times, and I want to sort of segue into vendors that are doing something really, really right. Okay. Have you ever had a product line, Kenny, that you've handled that you didn't have problems with? I mean, a control system. Has there ever been a control system that was 100% flawless?
No, I think we're watching an abundance and everywhere you go, technology is what you describe as the bumps and bruises you get before it actually becomes ubiquitous and flawless. So every product platform, whether it's this I'm wearing one of these Microsoft bands right now, and I developed a rash on my thing, and then I read the directions and said about how it's a metal sensor and it could cause nickel, and nickel is an irritant to your skin. Keep it washed, keep moving it around, whatever. So, but I still like it. I'm not going to give it up because it provides me information now that I'm used to and I benefit from. So, to me, that was technology that now I need to get a little smarter and better. So, any product that comes out there, from big to small, certainly the more challenging the integration, as Roger said, it's not easy. It's very beneficial. It'll save you a lot of money. It'll save you a lot of operational expenses, but it's not easy. You got to make a commitment, and it's not for everybody. So to answer your question, no, I've not seen one product ever come out, whether it's been for consumers, whether it's my car, ever bug-free.
Well, and I think vis-a-vis control systems anyway, you could almost argue that if you're not having some bugs in your system, you're not trying hard enough, right?
So
you're not really pushing the envelope. So I sort of bring this up because many of our listeners handle Honeywell and handle the Honeywell spiders. We have sold tens of thousands, maybe more, tens of thousands of spiders. We've got a great integrator network. I just wanted to acknowledge this is, in my estimation, the right way to do things. There were some concerns. Rob set up a roundtable view. Our integrators came in. Honeywell sat down Larry Weber, John Hutchie, Larry Andrianis, Hattie Hall, and some others from the team. And I got to tell you, it was one of the most encouraging, beneficial mornings and afternoons we spent. John Hutchie, I thought, was a rock star. So was Larry Weber. They listened. They weren't defensive. They offered solutions. And I think that if other manufacturers are listening, I think this is a takeaway I got from that. You do stuff like that because what happens is if your customers don't hear from you and stuff gets blown out of proportion, there's a lot of misconceptions. And then all of a sudden when you sit down and you explain how things are happening and why they're happening or why certain things aren't in, people are going, oh, that makes sense. So this was, Rob, this was something you set up. Speak a bit about that if you would. I acknowledge Honeywell for a great job there.
Well, you want to talk about nervous and you want to talk about butterflies. My endeavor involved bringing my manufacturer and my contractors together in one room. So I had two fears. I had the fear that, it was going to be a Roman gladiator-esque style, throwing some half-dead carcass out and lions going to try and devour it, which I definitely didn't want to happen. Or I felt like everybody was going to play nice and we weren't going to kind of get to the meat and potatoes of things. And I was really happy after the fact that neither one of those happened, and we had the perfect balance of what you would want in a situation like that. Our contractors articulated a lot of their concerns and frustrations. The Honeywell absolutely was there because they wanted to hear the feedback. They encouraged people to get more candid than what they were. But an interesting perspective, I think, was shown by both sides, because I think a lot of times, we've never made a product. We've never gone out and done this stuff. And so for us, we go, well, why don't they have this? Why don't they have an HOA switch? Why don't we do this? What's up with the Autobod? All these things. And, we started asking these things to Honeywell, and they started saying, well, guys, we can do this, but then this costs that, and then we do this. And then there was a perspective given back that you realize it just wasn't so easy. And then from there, everything that we had that was a concern for, why don't you have this? They talked about their next gen product, and they were finishing our sentences. So it wasn't like we were telling them anything new. I don't think that there was one thing that either of us or any of our contractors told Honeywell that they didn't already have something new coming down the pipe, that was going to work and set everyone at ease. And it was great. So thanks so much for Honeywell. It was obvious that you guys want to get better, and you wanted that feedback. And then thanks so much to our contractor base. I was so happy with you guys and all that you said. The good news, I think, is that we've got some improvements coming around the corner, but it's going to be via a next generation platform. And they've decided to stabilize the Spider Striker line instead of trying to enhance it. And it seems like if they were to try and make something better, sometimes they may have made something else a little bit worse. And they just said, you know what, we're going to stabilize it. We're going to make sure that it works and make sure that everybody can feel good about using it. And then when the time comes where we have this next generation platform, we're going to roll it out, and it's going to work, and we're going to feel good. So I feel as good about Honeywell as I ever had before. And it was a great experience for me.
That's good stuff, Robin. I tell you what, one of the guys I really like at Honeywell a lot is Larry Andrianis. I mean, Larry started out as a contractor. His dad had a contractor business. He started out as a Honeywell customer before he got with Honeywell. And if you hadn't had a chance to meet Larry, reach out to your local Honeywell distributor and say, hey, I want to meet Larry Andrianis. Am I saying his name right, Rob?
I think he'll answer to whatever you call him, yeah. But I say Andrianis. I don't even know if that's
Andrianis. Right. He's a good guy. You've met him, right, Kenny? Just a guy that...
Oh, sure.
Yeah, just, one of these guys kind of like Roger Rebennack that's gotten his hands dirty in the past, really understands the ins and outs of it. Great guy to go have a beer with, a lot of fun. One of these guys that he takes the business, he realizes the business is very, very important, and he takes it seriously, but he's, as a person's just a lot of fun to be around. So, Larry, special thanks to you Really enjoyed hanging out with you and Larry Weber too, who is the guy crunching the numbers at the top and making it happen.
And don't forget our buddy Hutchie, man. I mean, how about that guy? He just,
oh man,
you know,
the
from
wizard,
a technical aspect, he had all the answers.
Yeah.
And, you know, somebody.
He was a nominee from last year's
best technical
valuable support.
Yeah.
We know John too. He's
definitely deserving.
So good stuff. All right. Well, listen, Kenny, we're moving along. Let's get to our next post, big dog.
Alrighty, Eric. Well, the next post is they won the 2014 Small Vendor of the Year award. It's Neptronic, and they announced next generation VAV and fan coil controllers are here now, ready to send it out the door. Neptronic is a leading manufacturer of HVAC products and solutions since 1976, and they are proud to announce their game-changing next generation VAV controllers and fan coil controllers, and they made a lot of improvements. If you go to the post and take a look at the hot buttons, it's far too much what they've done, but basically they've made software changes, hardware changes, and network changes that are critical. The BACnet, they're now BACnet V14, version 14. They've added a dual menu selected BACnet and Modbus protocol. It's context driven, meaning that you used to have to go through the menu 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you need to make a change on say, the 34th option, you'd have to run through the sequence 1 to 30. Now you can just type in, I want to make a change to 34, and it goes right to 34. You can make your changes. But they've made a great product even better. They added some more IOs on your VAV controllers and the fan coil controllers so that you could do your floating and not use up another controller. So they just did a really good job. We have a bunch of links. Congratulations to Luis Malgaras. He's the marketing, he's the, I think, vice president of marketing now. And we couldn't wait to show us this stuff. And I'll tell you, that's another thing too, the passion they have. They really believe in their products. They can't wait to sell them. And I think that's why they're so successful. So visit that next generation controller post. And there's just so much more information there for all the integrators out there and standalone people. Your options now, like Simply VAV, like the Honeywell Spiders and Strikers, like the Johnson FX controllers. You've got another really good Delta, Distech. I mean, the opportunities to integrate now are so large. So these hybrid applications are reality. You might prefer this front end, this Energy SkySparks. You might prefer DG Logic's or J2 Innovations presentation. But now when it comes down to it, once you put your network in there and you've got your protocols established, your networks, now you can take the best of breed and really put together a fabulous hybrid solution for your customers.
You sure can, Kenny. And Rob, we've talked a lot about this. We have some of our customers that are opting for a hybrid now, and which is really cool. And so I think that's where we get back to the whole thing about communication being the key and having your customers really understand what they want, because everything has a trade-off, right? So you go hybrid, you got multiple people involved. One of these companies could go out of business, but you might be getting best technology and all that other good stuff. You stay with a major manufacturer, they'll probably be around forever, but you might not be getting the latest and the greatest, and you might be paying a premium for it. So, but hey, do we have a big time in Montreal or what, Kenny? Are the folks at Neptronic just great host?
Well, Montreal is a beautiful city. I think, on the top 10 cities I've been to, Montreal is certainly within that 10 zone because it's a beautiful city. It's very quaint. It has an old city, a new city, so it's got the best of both worlds. And then the business up there. Everybody is either running or jogging. There's a very friendly environment. This is a hell of a city. Very nice city. And those guys love it. I mean, it's all part of the package, but they've got a real nice restaurant area and cultural district, and we did have a great time. But most importantly, I got the biggest kick out of was their factory. How they're putting together. They've leveraged those patents that they had early on, whether it was the capacitor or the capacitor electronic spring return, or the ball valves. The concept of the direct coupled actuator ball valve. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how Neptronic was instrumental in that whole presentation and adoption for our HVAC industry. A lot of people.
Very, very, very interesting. And you can go back to ControlTalk. We actually went up, visited a plant, and did some interviews with several of the folks up there. It's really good stuff. But if you need 4 analog outs instead of 2, check out the new Neptronics fan coil unit controller.
And to your earlier point, Kenny, I think what this does a lot, Neptronics, you probably experience this with your contractors, where they think that they want to set up with a major manufacturer. There's obviously a lot of requirements and a lot of capital to do so. And I get to push back a lot. Well, we're going to wait until we get our first job. And then once we do that, then we'll sign up. And then it's 18 months later, and that never happened. So with the hybrid solution and with what Neptronic offers, a configurable BACnet VAV controller, they can buy that off the shelf with no kind of sign up, no kind of capital investment. They need to invest in some training. They need to make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing to make sure that they're deploying it correctly. But they can start doing these jobs right now. And I know that you guys have a great lineup that you can do everything from start to finish for these folks, just like we do. And
sure.
That's what I love about them a lot.
Good stuff, Rob. Good stuff. All right, Kenny Smyers, what do we have up next, big dog?
Next up, Eric, we have Tridium Talk, Cybersecurity and Why It Matters. This was a big Niagara 4 week, and then we're also looking forward to some of the, it's really turning now. August, they're going to release Niagara 4. This awesome controller is going to be ready for the market, I believe, fourth quarter. I don't want to talk out of turn here, but they're really, truly beta testing this thing out. We got an opportunity to work with some of the beta sites. And I know now that this is going to be a very interesting transition. I mean, we talked about developing an ecosystem like Apple does. Well, Tridium certainly developed an ecosystem, and we're all part of that. All of our businesses are part of the ecosystem of the Niagara network, and we're seeing more of it come on board. You know, we saw a lot of the applications that use Niagara as their platform, but security has really and truly been thoroughly addressed now or it's beginning to be addressed. Fred Gordy has been an enormous assistance to Control Trends. He's a contributor, and we'll be talking about one of his posts shortly. But this is the Tritium Talk Cybersecurity Webinars. There's 3 webinars that you should get involved with. The Tuesday, 21st July, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, Wednesday, the 22nd, 10 a.m. Eastern, and Wednesday, July 29th, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So they've really done a good job to give everybody with their different schedules around the world come to one of these, and you're going to meet the expert from Tridium. His name is, he's their Tridium's Chief Security Architect, Kevin Smith. He's got an amazing 20-year experience in developing cybersecurity solutions. He is now managing Tridium's cybersecurity architecture for Niagara products. He's the author of 7 technology books, published over 40 articles, and has presented papers on a number of topics. But we all know how important it is to really start getting this. You know, there's like the 1 mile and the 2 mile. You know, the 1 mile is just good awareness, good password, the social awareness now, and then we're going to take some of Fred's thunder there, because he really goes into that's the human patch factor. That you could have a great system, but if your people don't understand it and know it, you still don't have a successful cybersecurity program. So Tridium's featuring what you'll learn. You'll understand and identify the threats. You'll learn how to minimize and prevent them, and how Tridium is enhancing the cybersecurity from a technology provider, from a vendor provider. And they're taking specific measures to secure Niagara products. And then they discuss industry's best practices. And who should attend? CIOs, Chief Information Officers, Systems Integrators, anyone interested in today's evolving threats and how to combat them.
Very cool. I would say that's a must, huh?
I know I'm going to be on one of them. You just can't get enough of the cybersecurity. I was very unhappy to find out that somebody got a hold of one of my credit cards and was bouncing some no good for had some illegal charges.
Oh, sorry about that, Kenny. Sorry about that. I was going to tell you about that, dude. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but you weren't in Chicago, Illinois, so it wasn't you.
It happens to me all the time, except it's my wife.
Yeah.
Well, I feel that the irony and here we are talking about cybersecurity, and you really think you're starting to get a handle on it. And I'm reading this book, Future Crimes, and it scares me to death. I'm up to another chapter, and first thing it says here is that the future is already here. It's just that it's unevenly distributed, So we are just catching on to things that have been going on for a long time. And like I say, we've got some great cybersecurity people now. You and I are attending something very important down there in Georgia. Georgia is becoming the cybersecurity Silicon Valley of America, maybe possibly the world, because they're taking the initiative. They really and truly, there's got some military down there, some Department of Defense, some university intelligentsia, and then you've got the private sector all marrying up, and they're going to put together the measures we need to kind of self-regulate our way through our industry, our building management. We're not the industrial control systems. We are the building automation system. We are the building control systems, and that's where we need to differentiate that, because the measures that they put into place other places are not exactly our environment. So we are going to be part of a ongoing effort to specifically address building cybersecurity, controllers, So that's
Kenny
important.
is teasing out something that's going to be happening in the very near future. So remember that. He is being very subtle, but something big is going to be coming down. We'll be announcing probably in a couple of weeks, right, Kenny?
Yes.
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 Do not
Yes.
loose lips, sink ships.
I wanted to add real quick too, take the opportunity for a shameless plug, but first, the Tridium Talk stuff that you're talking about, I follow at Tridium on Twitter, and it's pretty neat because they're shooting out a lot of stuff. I can't help but to think that they're possibly mirroring the Control Trends format a little bit. There's a lot of new videos, a lot of new stuff like that that I think that's really cool. But follow them on Twitter, and if you follow me at StromRob, I'll retweet a lot of their stuff. My wife looked over my shoulder the other day, and I was watching a video of John Sublet, the CTO of Tridium, and she told me that he was the best looking geek that she'd ever seen. She just assumed that the CTO was, going to be a big technical guy. And so he's tall, dark, and handsome, according to my wife. So, who said you can't be sexy in the control industry, right?
Well, I tell you what, Chris Eichmann's probably going to beg to differ with your wife. You need to show her a picture of Chris Eichmann, the Charlton Heston of the controls industry. Maybe that'll be an award. Maybe the Control Trends most handsome executive.
I don't want to win 2 years in a row, Eric. That'll just feel like an inside job.
Is that what she told you, huh? All right, Big Kenny. What do we have up next, Big Dog?
Well, the next one is going to feed right nicely into both of your young gun. Rob Allen kites us up with the godfather of the automation and Tridium, Mr. Ed Warren. Yes, he will make you an offer you cannot refuse. Rob got a chance to interview Ed at the 2015 Realcomm IBCOM conference. And again, it's a great piggyback to the previous post of Rob. Tell us about what Ed had to say about Niagara 4.
Well, Ed, that's who I want to be when I grow up. He's just about the coolest guy. And that's because Eric's taken. You can't duplicate that. Somebody broke the mold on Eric, and so that's done. But Ed Merwin, he's got it figured out. And, we talked really informal about the couple of the beta sites. If you know Ed, he's a straight shooter, and he just said that the beta that they had in Florida went off seamlessly. I felt like that was a really refreshing thing. Talked about the JACE 8000, and I thought it was kind of neat. He talked about that it had onboard Wi-Fi, so you see that technology is already coming in, and then the fact that you don't have to have 3 different hardware platforms anymore. You can take the JACE 8000, and it's got the same amount of memory from all 3 platforms, and you just license it for what you need. So that's huge from a service standpoint. If you just have every control service truck's got a JACE 8000 on board, and then you can easily make it what you need to. The SD card, you can actually, at your station, everything is stored on there. And so instead of transferring license, all that kind of stuff, you pop the SD card out of one, pop it into the new one, stick it back on the DIN rail, you're good to go. So I was really intrigued by that.
Good stuff. Hey, Rob, well, listen, that was also your first Realcomm IBCON. Tell us your take on that. What was that like for you?
All right. So without a doubt, there's 2 things that's a must attend. And I'm not saying this because I'm sitting across from you and I'm remote with you, Kenny, but the Control Trends Award we talked about, that's a must attend. But Realcomm and IBCON conference was so incredibly eye-opening for me, and it's definitely what I would put at the top of my list. If your budget only allows you to attend 1 conference a year, make it the Realcomm IBCON next year. You find out so much stuff, and it's coming directly to the source. So it's going to the building managers, to the property managers, and telling them what all is new, what all the new stuff is, and then you get to go over to the manufacturers and say, well, they were talking about this in the general session. What are you guys going to do about it? What's your flavor? And boom, they tell you, from start to finish. So I got to rub elbows with a lot of end users. I got to rub elbows with a lot of manufacturers, consulting engineers, and everybody's speaking the same stuff. And I just felt like I could come back and talk about things that no one else is talking about right now. And it kind of educated me, and I can sort of kind of be a frontline guy going out and talking the stuff that no one else is talking. So absolutely a must-attend Realcomm IBCON.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Kenny, what do we have up next, big dog?
All right, Eric, we're coming up towards the end. We've got Fred Gordy. Are you patching the humans in your control system? And that's kind of a play on the words, because we always think about software patches, and you've got, starting with Microsoft all the way down through Adobe, through everybody. Now that we're in the U.S. CERT department, we see patches every day being put forward by all the software manufacturers across the board, because you've got to constantly upgrade and fix. Once you know you've got a vulnerability, you got to fix it. So this is Fred Gordy. Again, he's generated 3 or 4 seminal documents, and I would highly highly recommend somebody go to Control Trends, and up in the search bar, type in Fred Gordy, and you will see those seminal documents in a row. 1, 2, and an overview on how to take cybersecurity posture for any of the building management, facility managers, systems integrators. It's just good stuff, but he's taken this gigantic world of cybersecurity and he's excised it down to the relevant stuff for building control systems. And it's different from other cybersecurity venues and platforms, and it's not SCADA, it's not ICS, it's for the building controls, specifically. So he talks about Dan Kaufman, head of the Software Innovation Division of DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, which is kind of scary. And he was questioned by Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes, and there's a direct button to the 60-minute segment. Can the internet be fixed, or we just have to throw this one out and build a whole new internet from scratch with security built in? And his response, Mr. Kaufman's response was, I don't think so. I don't think the internet is broken. I think the things we put on the internet are broken. What we are doing is putting a lot of devices on it that are unsecure. So for the control industry, this is a very true statement. However, the human element can and will supersede any measure of security that's put in place. So no matter if every device was replaced on the internet with a highly secure, hardened device, we would still find a way to leave ourselves vulnerable. So that is a very, very poignant accusation. At the weakest link is the human, and the humans need patching. So basically, Fred recommends that human patching is a lot like the definition for devices, operating systems, and platform. It is an updating of our thought processes, our habits, and how we view security of our systems, and replacing bad security habits with good ones. So I could read the whole post, because to me, this is the fuel when we go out and talk now, because we all, as systems integrators and as distributors, we are responsible to help, permeate, the hard shells out there, and let everybody know that it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And the starting points, the 1 mile points, is what Fred's recommending. The second mile points are, you better have an action plan. So if you do happen, you got a backup, you've got press releases, you got things to say to people, make intelligent statements about, we were always dreading this possibility, and now it's happened. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we have, and we open up a file on our computers, and it tells us step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then so there's just a lot to learn. But the most important thing is to catch the awareness, get everybody aware, and then you can start making improvements. No,
agreed. And I tell you, we're so fortunate, Fred Gordy. We really appreciate you, Fred. You, me, and Kenny have become friends with Fred, and what a great guy. He worked for a systems integrator here in Atlanta. He's moved on to SmartCore, which is just a national, maybe even international integrator that plays at a super, super high level. They do Fortune 100 companies and military and stuff like that. Fred is passionate about cybersecurity. He's very articulate, Kenny. He's great at explaining stuff in terms that are easy to understand. He is indeed an asset and a gift to our industry. So Fred Gordy, we need to get you into the studio here soon. And maybe next time we'll have Rob and Fred in here. What do you think, Ken?
Hey, the more the merrier. If we're promoting the things that we do to make a living and making that a better product and making that a better solution, let's keep it going, because like you said, I have already put these things that Fred has put out there, the checklists and some of the extraction, and just to give everybody a heads up, we're trying to put together a questionnaire that will deliver security. We have approximately 100 questions that we're going to vet and squash into 10 or 15 of the most important questions to give everybody an opportunity in the Control Trends community to take our Control Trends cybersecurity awareness quiz and see how you fare, because I think you're going to find out that you got some work to do. And then having these access points to Mark Peacock does a great job with LinkSpring. He has a white paper for executives that's worth reading, or not worth reading, but should be required reading. And then you have Fred Gordy's seminal documents, and then we're going to keep building on that. So we're going to do our best, because it's a trend that is up on the very top 3 trends.
Good
Cybersecurity.
Stuff. Good stuff. What do we have up next, Big Dog?
All right, well, we got the last post. This is Rob Allen, Honeywell's Roger Rebennack. I'll tell you, that was RR's, Rob Allen, Roger Rebennack, and I studied there. Sorry about that, Rob, because I love this stuff, because, Roger Rebennack is an animated guy. The hardest working, most exciting guy in building automation, perhaps. You talk about passion. I don't know anybody that has, he's hard to contain. And like you said, when you got him in front of the camera, you didn't know. You said 7 minutes in control, and he said 7 minutes out of control. So I'll leave it there. But he talks about just the 5 most important things that people need to know. And I respect Roger, because he doesn't make it an easy, pillowy, salesy talk. He said that integration isn't for everybody. If it isn't, fine. But if you're going to do it right. And the reason why is because the first 2 of those 5 reasons is money. And you know what? Everybody needs more money. They need more money to be saved so they can put that money somewhere else in their organization. Resources are limited. It's so competitive. But if you do things right and you come up with a consistent, standardized building platform, and everybody trains and works on that same platform, you've reduced and eliminated 3 or 4 duplications of platforms. And so it just makes great sense. Tell us more about that, Rob and Eric.
Well, I tell you what, Rob, if you don't mind, first frame I'd like to set up is you created 7 minutes of control. So, and Rob's got a bunch of episodes we posted on 7 minutes of control, so they're worth checking out. But tell us about the concept of 7 minutes of control, and then if you roll into the Roger Rebennack interview, that'd be great.
Well, I did 7 minutes of control because now we're like, I'm about to go to sleep because you guys have been talking for. I'm just kidding. Eric, pushed me for a long time to develop something, and I felt like for me, driving from customer to customer and stuff like that, how much time do I really have to listen to a podcast or see something or whatever? And I felt like somewhere around 7 to 10 minutes is a good time where you can kind of get that email and watch it and go on about your day. And so I did a lot of episodes, and you can kind of see the first ones and how they weren't that good, and then it kind of evolved into something a little bit better. But I really enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I wish I could get more people to come on and do some stuff. I'm doing another kind of medium for our contractors internally each week as well too. So all this is kind of spurred off of a lot of things, but more posts to come for sure.
And what about your experience with the most exciting man?
Wait. Let me see before you do that, Rob. So you're saying that our ControlTalk Now and our Control Trends presentations were too long and boring and put you to sleep. So you were going to come up with a more hard-hitting, more impact-specific 7 minutes, no longer. And that's a great idea. I agree.
Rob, we could take the Young Guns Award back.
Well, no, that's not what I was saying at all. What I was saying is that, sometimes you want to sit down with some popcorn and lay out on the couch and watch a movie, and sometimes you just want to watch a 30-minute television show. So depending on what you're looking for is what I provide. So you guys offer the movie. You're probably Gone with the Wind-esque, 4 or 5 hours. No, I'm just kidding.
War and Peace.
No, but definitely inspired by you guys.
Well, and I think it's great. I think one of the things Kenny and I are endeavoring to do on Control Trends is make it an open platform. People can create different types of content. I love it. When you talked about originally doing a show and wanting to do something shorter, I thought it was fantastic because, Kenny and I do the long form, if you will, but and so 7 minutes of control is awesome. It's a quick hitting type thing. You get 1 or 2 points. It is quick hitting unless you get somebody like Roger Rebennack on the show. But to our listeners out there, I mean, we do have the platform. We do have the audience. I mean, if you have something interesting to say, if you want to do a show, we'll produce it for you. If you hadn't had a chance to check out Varun Najra from Sierra Monitor, we were producing a show for him called Networking Conversations with Varun. So we are looking for more content to put up here, and we would love, if you have a message, something to say, Controls Freak, we would love to produce your show and put it out. Controls Freak is a blogger we follow. Therese Sullivan, I mean, if you wanted to get a blog going, we'll put it up here too. So got a lot of smart people in the industry, Kenny and Rob, and they're having a lot to say. some more than others, which I think is a great segue back to Roger. So tell us about the post with Raj.
So I told Roger, I've got this this platform, 7 minutes of control, and I said, Roger, if I bring you on here, can you stay under 7 minutes? Oh, absolutely. Oh man, and I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that, and this is going to be great. And I said, Roger, seven minutes, dude. Yeah, I can do that. So I pulled a string and off he went, and there was no stopping him. And I actually had it recorded for a while, and I was thinking about, do I need to pop this out or change it? And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to throw it out there because what he said was so intriguing. It was so spot on and right on. He was singing in this thing, making up little jingles and everything else. But when he got to the meat and potatoes of what he was talking about, to your point, Kenny, saves you money, improves operating cost. Those are type of the things that I think are often looked over. And when you see about the single pane of glass, only having to renew a platform or something like that annually, or only to keep one thing up and not having to do multiple different things, and then the ability to do your HVAC dashboard, your lighting, and your security all on one thing is what he hits home about. And so I really honestly think that if you're a salesperson and you're wanting to figure out how to go out and sell security integration, I really feel like this is a perfect place to start, and you get everything in a kind of a nutshell. And then from there you can go out and get the rest of it based on that kind of introductory level. Roger, you're an awesome dude. I had to change it to 77 minutes in control, but thank you so much for coming on, and you're an awesome dude.
Well, there you go. And Roger's one of the hardest working guys in the industry. He's a likable guy, and he's helping us with a huge project here in Atlanta doing access and security. Talk about a guy. Honeywell had one of their key people that was supporting us, went on to another opportunity, and Raj stepped right up to the plate. So, Roger, we really appreciate you. And I tell you what, Kenny Smyers, with that, buddy, we are getting up against it. It is, I think we're going to have to sign off. Any final words before we say goodbye?
Nope. That was the final post, and it's great to have Rob on board. I see that we have our sustainability program in effect now, so that the Control Trends Awards and the Control Trends and ControlTalk Now, like you said, the invitation's out there. We would really like to expand the community and the impact. Again, Rebennack Sane in India is coming up very soon. I believe we have our correspondent representatives from Mexico in the works. Thanks again to Rachel McElhaney out of Australia. And anybody out there that really and truly thinks this is worthwhile and has a good message and enjoys the levity that we try to present and wants to promote our industry, please contact us at what, Eric?
ControlTrends@gmail.com, or you can just reach out to us in comments, whatever you want to do there. So, well, that's it, Kenny Smyers. I tell you what, a special thanks to young gun Rob Allen for being on the show with us today. It's another week of Control Talk Now, your smart buildings video and podcast. You can either watch us, which now you got the handsome Rob Allen with the handsome Kenny Smyers, or you can also download the podcast, listen to it in the car. But again, I'm Eric Stromquist. He is Kenny Smyers. And remember, stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed. Hang on. Take two. Rob, this is the signature sign-off. When Kenny goes, indeed, we look at him and go, indeed, Kenny Smyers. Okay.
I didn't want to mess this up. This is my favorite part of the show is the
this
indeed
is part of the secret handshake. Okay.
All right.
So there you have it. Another week of Control Talk Now, blah, 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 blah. So with that, remember, stay in control.